Okay, hello everybody. I'd like to call this meeting to order at 5:32. Chris, are you taking notes?
I am.
Thank you. Okay, and Emily, first 30 minutes. Okay, thank you. So Emily has to leave. It just occurred to me that we're probably supposed to do a roll call generally for committee members. So maybe we can just do a quick introduction. Everybody just say your first and last name. Jeanette Schaefer.
Chris Russo.
Jim Deschler.
Greg Rulo.
Susan McDowell.
Emily Hoffman.
Great. Oh, and we just had Amanda join us. Hey, Amanda. Just did a little roll call because I realized that we probably should be doing that. Okay. Any adjustments to the agenda? Did everybody get the agenda, and are there any additions?
I have one. I got a notice after I sent out the agenda that the annual report is due mid-December. They didn't notify us, I think, last year or the year before. It used to be a fiscal year annual report, so they must have changed that up, and it's now due in mid-December. So
is that a city annual report, Chris?
yes, it is.
Okay. Okay.
I am willing to draft something up on that. Well, that's an adjustment. So
yeah, let's add it to the end of the agenda.
Okay.
Okay, I made a note of it. City annual report. Okay. All right. Communication agreement mission statement. Who wants to read it?
How does everyone feel about continuing to read this? I think it's,
Well, I think we should be able to make a motion to what's the right word? Expend reading. Then you get a motion and a second, but you acknowledged it.
That is okay. So let me just think about procedure. Motion noted. Do we have to read it before we make a notion to no longer read it and to acknowledge it? No. Amanda's shaking her head. Okay. Did anybody second that motion? Somebody want to second that motion? So Greg, you're saying acknowledge that we are aware of it and that we abide by it rather than read the full thing. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. I would like to second that. I think it's reasonable.
Agreed.
Any discussion before we vote? We could probably do it once a year and read it once a year in the summer when we're together. Any other thoughts on that?
I think it's important information to share with prospective members as part of the expectations if we have any new committee members come on. But otherwise, I support that motion also.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Agreed.
So any other comments? Okay, let's put it to the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Okay, and it sounds like Jim is an aye. Yep.
Yep.
Okay, unanimous. I think this is a unanimous. Yeah, because Amanda doesn't vote. Okay, good.
so
All right.
not reading it today.
Yeah,
Just
correct.
so everyone is acknowledging. Okay, very good.
Okay, approval of minutes. Did everybody have a chance to read the minutes? And if we agree that we can move the minutes to approve them, make a motion, please.
Make a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
I'd second that.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Okay,
Aye.
good. Guess I left out the discussion part. Okay, committee position descriptions. Chris, is that your item? Do you want to talk about this?
It is. So as a committee, we're supposed to have officially a chair, a co-chair, and a secretary. We've never had a secretary before. And we're supposed to have a vote. I think it's an annual vote on these positions. And we've never had a vote, I think, officially, and noted it. So in following, committee rules, I think that we should have these officially 3 positions and kind of an election of them. As far as position descriptions, a chair is supposed to be running the meeting, and in absence of that person, the co-chair is. And as you all know, I haven't been fulfilling that role, and would rather not do it. And I don't know. I think the chair and the co-chair position, I think we just kind of do similar. I've been putting out the agenda and the minutes. And the secretary, I don't know if other committees, what officially that they do, whether it's the minutes or, we have a Semper Bond fund, a balance of that, but we just rarely touch it. So there's no dues or anything. So I really, we could make up, some items for the secretary to do.
Amanda has her hand up because you probably have something to say about this, the details.
I just want to clarify one or two things. I think Chris's descriptions are largely exactly spot on. I believe it's technically a vice chair instead of a co-chair, and the usual job description of that is do things when the chair is not there.
Or if the chair delegates.
Or if the chair delegates. Yeah, I mean, the chair can delegate to anyone, but the vice chair is sort of the default de facto chair if the chair is not at a meeting. And chairs' duties would additionally include preparing the agenda and making sure it is sent to the city in a timely manner to be warned appropriately. And for secretary, the only core responsibility is taking the minutes, which can record discussion, but only have to record motions made and by whom, including the opening and adjournment of the meeting. Depending on the group, you can also assign the secretary different things or ask the secretary to do different things, or the secretary can volunteer to do different things. But those are the core necessary requirements under open meeting law, because this is a official municipal committee that's required to post minutes. And then the secretary has to get those to the city to post on the website in a timely manner as well.
Yeah. And I think it's 5 or 6 working days, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I thank you, Amanda. That's really helpful. I think we've pared down the minutes quite a bit, and I want to just pause for a second and acknowledge and thank Chris for being in both roles for a long time. So being chair and secretary at the same time. Yeah, I think that is a big job, and it is time that we separate out the two. So I think we have to anyway, right? So we don't need a motion on that, I believe, but I think, is everybody, do we need formal position descriptions in order to have elections, or is this verbal? Okay, Amanda's shaking her head. So this verbal description is fine. So I guess for the election of officers, do we nominate, including self-nominations at this point? I think so. So if you have any nominations, please put them forward. If you would like to nominate yourself, as in volunteer to be one of these positions, you are welcome to as well. And then we could put that to vote. Also remember that hopefully we will have more people join down the line as well when we get to the member recruitment part. But let's talk about nominations. Does anybody have Any nominations? Guess we could do it by position. What do you think, Chris?
That would be fine. And I would like to say that I have been doing this, and I am totally willing to step and down back and let somebody else, fulfill this role, as the chair. So if anyone has a desire to have that position, I'm more than happy to step aside. I have another year in my appointment term, so that's also coming up next year.
Anybody interested in being a chair or nominating a chair at this point? I would like to nominate Chris to be chair.
Okay, I'll second that.
If she's willing. Yeah, the mechanics of this is a little, this is new to me, so I apologize for maybe bungling this a little bit. Any other nominations for chair? Okay. Chris, are you willing?
I'm so honored. I'm willing to do this for another year and just see how it goes. It's been frustrating this past year, but I'm willing to give it another year and see. And my understanding is this is an annual. It doesn't go by terms. It's an annual vote.
Yeah, and that's a good reminder too. Once a year, so we have to A, do it, and B, give everybody the option to not renew their own term. I guess we could put it to a vote. So all in favor of Chris being our chair for another year? Aye.
All right,
I,
Okay, so unanimous. Thank you, Chris. You're amazing.
Is there something we can do to make it less frustrating, though? You said it was very frustrating. I did.
You could volunteer to be a treasurer. I mean, not a treasurer. We don't have treasurer, secretary.
And I should say that the frustration is not with the committee. The committee is absolutely, I should clarify that, absolutely wonderful. It's just been really difficult with the URSA grant, working with the city, and lack of acknowledgement of requests. And so that's where the frustration lies with, I'm speaking personally, of myself, so that's where the frustration lies. I can be happier. I think this is the best committee ever.
Agree. But thank you for asking, Susan. Yeah, I think we'll get more to that when we get to URSA, right? We'll get more into that discussion. So let's kind of come back. Okay, co-chair. Nominations, including self-nominations.
As a chair, can I nominate?
Oh, wait, vice chair, not co-chair.
Oh, sorry, I've been calling it co-chair.
Yeah. No,
forever.
it's in the minutes too. I think you can. You're an equal member, right?
Yeah, I'm not supposed to make motions as a chair.
Yes, right.
So this is a nomination. I would like to nominate Jeanette if she would be willing, because she does such a wonderful job with the meetings and hosting them and keeping us and me on track. And so I would like to nominate Jeanette if she's willing to do it again.
I'll second that.
Anybody else would like to do the job, vice chair? Okay. I would do it for another year till my term is over. And then I have to see what happens, because life is a little crazy right now. So okay, so all in favor of me, Jeanette, being vice chair.
I,
I,
Aye.
I,
Okay. All right.
So I got a question.
Yeah.
So with most of the clubs I'm with, we have an annual meeting. So how do we know when our year is up? Do we have an annual meeting for this committee?
That's a really good question. Chris, do we get do we renew our terms sort of on a cyclical, right? Because we didn't all start at the same time?
yeah, it's intentionally kind of like
Yeah.
rolling, and it's every 2 years, and they try to, stagger. And if three members join at once, one of those members might have just a 1 year term, just to make sure that not everyone's terms are expiring at the same time.
Right, but it's not, but they all get renewed at the same time, right? When you have to go to the city?
We haven't gone to the city, for like, you mean, no, like,
Like our committee membership has to, we all go at the same time to the council meeting and say, where we have to have our little interview. I thought that's all happening at the same time, which could be a good date to kind of set, because we don't have an annual meeting, because we have, quarterly or every other month meetings. But we should
Typically,
determine what the date is, and maybe January.
typically that's stated with an annual meeting. You have an
Yeah,
annual meeting.
right.
um,
I
yeah,
was, I was gonna say, my appointment, I remember, was back in June, a year and a half ago. And I think that was also when other people for the committee were appointed, but I don't know if that is consistent across all committees for the city.
Chris, could you ask as an action item, would you ask what the dates are at which we have to have these elections again? It's a really good point, because when we say, well, for another year, what does that mean? Is that starting January 1st, or is it starting, are we backdating it to June when we were appointed to our committee membership? So that is something we have to clarify for probably next time.
I should know that, but I don't, but I will follow up on that.
Yeah.
Well, even still, you always have people coming and going, even if
Yeah.
they supposedly have a 2-year appointment or whatever we call it. So, we probably have to designate an annual meeting, but we don't really have bylaws, so
Hmm.
that I know of. Do we?
Right. So let's get clarification from the city. And then I think if they don't have any guidance, I would suggest that the January meeting could always be a good one to have those elections. Because it just makes sense to start a new year with new jobs. So, okay. All right, well, now we have secretary, and you heard it from Amanda. We take pretty low level minutes. They used to be a lot more extensive, and now they're just really motions, start times, adjourn times, and motions, and then anything else that might be really important. And I'm going to stop because Amanda's back now. Amanda, do you know if there are certain dates at which we have to appoint new officers, or does that not matter as far as the city is concerned?
I don't know that there's specific dates. I will take a look at the, apologies for stepping away. My husband had
No
to,
problem.
I don't, I must move something very heavy. I will double check the committee policy. What I've seen best practice be on roughly an annual basis to give everyone time, like once the positions on the committee have cycled through, give everyone an opportunity to maybe change up the positions. But I don't know that there's a required cycle.
Okay, so that then would not coincide time-wise with the appointments if those happen in June. And I know they are in the summer, Jim, because I've been there being interviewed by city council in the summer. So there would be 6-month lag there. But you know what? It may not be bad, because it would give new people 6 months to kind of get their feet wet a little bit on the committee to see if they want to step up to be officers too. And then if we do the election in January on an annual basis, then they'll have had a chance to kind of see what the committee is all about. So it might make sense. So I'd like to suggest that we find out the specifics and make sure that there isn't a specific date that we have to do this. And then we set the date next time in the next meeting, what the officer terms are. And then we move on to now going back to electing the secretary. Nominations, volunteers, secretary. It's a pretty low lift.
And everybody
I don't
raise their
hear
hand.
anybody. I was gonna say, I don't hear anybody nominating themselves. I'm willing to do that if people want me to.
Anybody else who would like that position? Okay, I think I support Jim in this. Thank you, Jim.
I heartily support Jim. He's a very good note taker.
I thought Susan might actually nominate me because of that, but
Okay, I think we can, are we ready to vote on this?
Well, do we have an official nomination? Second,
Okay,
I'll nominate Jim as secretary.
okay. I second. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
I
Okay, unanimous. All right, we have officers. Thank you to Chris and Jim.
And you.
So,
and
you.
Jeanette,
Okay, all right, member recruitment. How many members are we supposed to have, Chris?
7.
7, okay, and we right now, so we're missing one person.
Yep.
Okay. Do we have any people in the pipeline that you know that you would like to compel to join? Compel.
Mark's shoes were pretty big shoes to fill. You know, he did a lot of trail work, and he had mapping skills, and did so much as far as helping us with tracking the trails. But then yeah, and he also was, of course, the head of the task force or the sub advisory group on property boundaries and conservation access. So it would be wonderful if we could find somebody to fill at least one pair of his many shoes that he wore on the committee. With that said, Jim, did you have an opportunity to approach the 2 individuals that have been helping us with tree removal? I think one you said wasn't interested.
I talked to Joe about it, and he didn't sound too interested in it. And he also is he teaches pottery on Thursday nights, so he's not necessarily available either. And his partner Sonia, she works for Nature Conservancy, I believe, and she travels pretty much constantly, so she's not really around. So that's a long way of saying they weren't interested.
Mm-hmm.
Have
There is-
we, oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say there's, I can't think of anyone to step up, although there is a new person that is living on Route 14, and he comes up, and I've talked to him a few times, and he cross-country skis, and he's somebody who at least is an adjoining property owner, and I could find where he lives and knock on his door type of thing, but I certainly would, it'd be wonderful if we could think of someone that has those skill sets. I asked Mark if Stacy, who is on the subcommittee, the task force for conservation and easement, if she would be willing. And he thought he was going to ask her, and he never got back to me, but I'm willing to reach out to her. She's also a very busy person, but would be able to fill that role as far as being the person to communicate with the parent family. And so I think she would be a good member. So I could reach out to her, and if everyone thinks it's, worth like approaching essentially a stranger and saying, hey, your property borders this property. Are you interested? Because I think he's up there quite a bit and might be willing to help with trail clearing or doing that type of work.
Chris, could you repeat again whom the person you were just talking about in the most recent instance, because I got kicked out of Zoom.
So there was Stacy, who is on the task force, and then there is a neighbor that I don't even know, but I know he has like a footpath up from his property on Route 14. So he's an adjoining property owner. As to whether or not he has an interest, I don't know, but it would be nice to have a set of eyes on the trails like that Mark was so good at doing.
I think, Stacy has worked with Mark. You probably said that already. So if she had the time, it would be wonderful to have her. I think there's no harm in asking those folks, unless folks here don't agree. And then I think if that doesn't pan out, we might just have to go out onto Front Porch Forum and recruit there. With some really specific needs, I would suggest putting those specific needs out there on Front Porch Forum, so people might see themselves in it. So what do folks think about Chris reaching out to those folks?
I support that.
Okay. All right. I don't think we need a vote on that. No, it's just a task. So, okay. Any other thoughts on member recruitment before we move on?
Is that something we would want to post on social media? I'm not sure if that would be appropriate, but
Probably if we exhaust these personal asks, and we put it on Front Porch Forum, I think we should definitely share it there too. Because then we'll have a very specific job description that can also then be shared on multiple channels. So yeah, but I think for now we should just wait and see if the personal recruitment panned out.
okay, sounds good.
Thank you.
Yeah, and can I just add, I was thinking that starting with the followers of the cow pasture might be a good starting point, just because they're people that we know already have a connection to it and support it, before going to Front Porch Forum when we reach that point.
Yeah, I wonder, Jim, though, because not everybody is on Facebook, and like I know I'm avoiding it and would feel like I'm missing an opportunity because I'm not on Facebook.
True, me too. I'm not on it either, but
And look, where would we be without you?
you'd be fine.
I don't know. So I would probably,
No, you're right. I get what you're saying, totally.
yeah. And who knows, people may see themselves in this position description and go, wow, what's the cow pasture? And I have all these skills.
True.
Especially new people, new to Barre people. So.
And I don't know if we're unique as a committee in that we have, and I think it works out great, but we have many needs and many roles, and we, seek to recruit not just a warm body. I've been the committee in the early days had just, at times just a lot of warm bodies without particularly any interest in, picking up and moving forward any of the items that we all are working on at this point in time. So I just want to make sure that we avoid, that scenario, that we, get someone that has an interest in we see our mission as.
Yeah. And in taking on some responsibilities too, because we are such a small committee that it's a working committee and an active committee, and we need to be really clear on that. So yeah. Okay. So I think we're in a good place for now. Emily had to leave. So I think we're still okay quorum wise. 2, 3. Yeah, we have Jim still. Okay. Ursa subcommittee update. Oh.
I can say that, one low-hanging fruit that was left as far as requirements with the grant was to post the trails and on Trail Finder. And so that has been done. I don't use Trail Finder, but they uploaded, I shared with Jeanette, I think just with you, Jeanette, the post, the information that I put out there was like requirements on, what the trail system is used for with very specific definitions in that, there was boxes to check. And I just would like you to know that I didn't put, I think it was mountain biking down, not that we don't allow it, but they said don't check boxes that do not that your trail isn't your trail system isn't built for. So our trails are not built for mountain bikes. So so we didn't put that down.
Yeah.
And I didn't also, and I also didn't, and I don't even know if snowmobiling, it probably was on there. And I didn't put that down either, just because my thought on that is that the vast trail is there and it's going through the property, but it goes on to, people can't just snowmobile on the cow pasture property. And as Zach kind of hammered into our heads, that we should not be promoting like side trails on private properties. Hence now all our maps and everything don't include the parent property. So it would have just been, I don't know how long that snowmobile trail is, but I didn't feel it was appropriate to put snowmobiling on it either.
Right, because it is limited to just the Wolf Trail thoroughfare, and I think the Snowmobile Association does a really great job in promoting, for that audience, the trail network already, so people know it's there for snowmobiling.
It's on a statewide trail map.
Yeah. Oh, I love that map. It's really helpful because it gets updated all the time, and always good to know where there's snow and where there isn't. So thank you for that, Chris. I think we're still waiting for the city to put some posts in at the bottom of the owl. Is it?
Crow.
Crow. Okay.
Yeah, it was interesting. I was speaking with just this Monday. Steve McKenzie had been asking me for years to do a Kiwanis Club presentation. So I finally put a slideshow together and put that together. But there was a neighbor who lives on Beacon Street, and he commented, he said, I didn't even know that there was, you could access the trails through there. I saw the sign up there, and he said, it's great for me because I used to have to walk all the way up Maplewood Avenue. So, so the posts are going to be, important. I did ask the city to put those in again, and Nicholas was supposed to get back with me on that, and also inspecting the kiosk. I could go dig the posts and poke it, but I just felt like it was like kind of a safety thing, and I didn't want to, I think that the city should be doing that. And I checked the other day and I didn't see it dug up. So those two things, one of them are related to the URSA grant, and the other not, haven't been done, but it was an ask that hasn't, I think it's been two calls and 4 weeks have gone by without a response and a conversation with Nicholas. So those are still need to be done.
So this is where the frustration comes in that Chris referenced earlier. And I just want to sort of give an overview of what the biggest frustration is. And that is that the URSA subcommittee has worked really hard to secure the money and get everything done, all the deliverables on our end. And we are not getting some of the information that we repeatedly ask for from the city. So it is very frustrating to not be able to proceed with certain things because we just need one bit of information here, some smaller tasks there, and we are not getting any traction. And that is Chris and Jim have been the main people asking for the things that are outstanding on the URSA grant. And that is where the frustration comes in for this subcommittee. Personally, I have to say I am hesitant to go, and this is on the record, I'm aware of that. I am hesitant to go for future grants because I often feel like I'm treading water in trying to get all the deliverables in place in the areas that we're dependent on the city following through. So if there is another grant opportunity, personally, I'm going to think twice about participating in a subcommittee because this is all volunteer work for us and we have limited time to keep following up and asking. So maybe this is something the subcommittee can talk to Amanda about. Amanda, you as our ex officio representative, that could be a next step for us, but I just want this known that it's incredibly discouraging when we work really hard on these things and we just, we're unable to get information that we need.
Yeah, I absolutely hear that. And I did my share of chasing as well in connection with Chris and Jim, and it's a capacity issue in the city staff side that I have been talking with Nicholas about resolving in a more systemic way rather than request by request, because that doesn't actually solve the problem.
Yeah.
So that is something I have raised with Nicholas, and actually improving the sort of city staff capacity is actually part of the flood resiliency plan. And it is going to be discussed at the next city council meeting.
Mm-hmm.
So I would be happy to sit down with anyone who would like and talk through sort of what kinds of things need to be in place before future grant opportunities are pursued, and then can also have that conversation with Nicholas, who's the ultimate sort of allocator of city staff, and the sort of ultimate like buck stops there about how city staff are responsive. So would be happy to have that conversation.
And also there is a level of professionalism that I personally would like to experience as well. So I can't speak for my co subcommittee members, but that is also, and I understand, when you're overwhelmed with work and you don't have capacity, you get a little short, but that is not an excuse. So maybe, Amanda, we should talk. I also really would hope that the city, if there isn't capacity to support grants on, committee grants, that also the city has the ability to say, well, we don't have the capacity to support this, then everybody can just not waste their time. So, although I don't think it's wasted time, because if you go in the cow pasture now, it's wonderful. Like it's there, the bridge is there, the trail is there, the signs. So it is it is wonderful work and it somehow came together, but now wrapping it up on the end is really challenging.
Yeah.
And I should note that this is like the fourth grant, I believe the fourth grant that the Cow Pasture Committee has, the kiosk, all the major trail work. It's the fourth grant. And this one was like a, $50,600 no match grant. So I think it's pretty substantial, but I do agree with you, Jeanette, that and an alternative is that actually Steve McKenzie reminded me of this. I had totally forgot that he had been putting because one of the years that the BYCC was there, I couldn't put it together with a grant. And he said, "Oh, I was putting $7,500 a year in the budget for the cow pasture property." So that's probably a reasonable ask for us to have that money there for trail work and things that are needed, whether it's brush hogging, but I totally forgot that he was doing that. I don't know how many years, but certainly I think it was the main hill the hill heading down to the stream that was totally redone, and the gate building that one summer I think was all paid for by the city and not a grant. So I think if they're not going to support us in applying for grants, which is a lot of work on our part, then perhaps they can give us a budget for paying for the work that needs to be done.
I think that's a really interesting point, because I think a lot of things that we would like to do, probably grants are the best source to get to them. And it's hard to have to say, well, we don't want to do grants because we're not supported. It's not like there's a big pool of money somewhere else.
Yeah.
So I think it just creates kind of being between a rock and a hard place.
Mhm. Jim, you had also your hand up.
Yeah, this might be more of a question for Amanda, but if we were to go for grants, is there a way to have a different support network than the city? I just know that with our river access group, we basically decided to not utilize the city because of their, overworked level. And we work with Friends of the Winooski River, who's much more capable of working with grant administration and things like that. So I don't know, because we're an official committee with the city, I would assume we'd have to do things through the city.
That's a good question. I will certainly investigate that. Theoretically, I think it could be possible to make an agreement with another 501c3 to be a financial partner on a grant. Nothing is coming to mind I'm sure there are plenty of options out there. I'm just blanking on right now. And I will, I'm actually composing an email to Nicholas right now, to just loop him in, on the conversations that you all want to have, and I will bring that up as well.
And Jim, it probably depends on the grantor as well.
Yep.
Because some of them are limited to just to municipalities, so we would want to be tied into the city, and then others that are, different funding sources that are not required. And there are some grants out there that do not give to municipalities. So you do need a fiscal agent, a nonprofit fiscal agent. So having that avenue might help us anyway to go after grants that specifically do not work or grant money to official bodies.
That makes sense. And just as an additional follow-up, Amanda, if you are actually reaching out to Nicholas, I think an update of where things are at would be great. My last communication from Janet was September 18th, and she had actually touched base with people at FPR after I had kind of made that happen by reaching out to them myself. But she said that she was going to be invoicing and dealing with non-reimbursables and figuring out equipment costs. and that she was also gonna ask them about getting an extension for spending down the money until December 2026. So us knowing that would be great. And I also don't know if Apex Trail Works has actually invoiced for that last set of work or not. If they did and went straight to Janet, I'm not aware of it. I don't know if Chris heard from Zach or not, but I think there might be an outstanding invoice from Zach coming at some point. Any updates to that would be really useful. And I'm just asking you because I don't think I would get a response at this point.
Okay, I'm adding that to a new email right now. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
And I did about I called Nicholas a couple of times, and the last time I got a hold of him and didn't leave a message, but had a conversation, and I did emphasize to him that we don't know where the city is at, and if they're meeting, I don't want the city to have a bad name in case with FPR, as far as going out for additional grants, if the check boxes aren't being, we were supposed to finalize the grant by November of this year. And we feel like we have done everything that we needed to do. I don't know what Janet needs from us. I can't imagine, possibly photographs. Zach didn't send them to her, but I'm pretty sure that I would have heard from Zach if he didn't get that last reimbursement from Janet. He had sent the bill to me, but I can double check on that. But most importantly, my conversation with Nicholas is that we're just looking for our fund balance, and I expressed to him that the subcommittee really just wanted to let the money go and just wash our hands of it. But I felt that, $3,500 could go a long ways in doing something else up in the cow pasture. And with that said, we gave the green light, I guess, for Janet to ask for an extension, but we have no idea what the status is of that. And a lot of and I've been trying so hard getting, the billing that was provided to us, Amanda, was a lot of it was not billable. It was, the way the Public Works Department billed it had items in there that weren't part of the grant, like the removal of the fence around the sewage sludge. We intentionally didn't, that was just the city needed to deal with their crap. Excuse me. But
Literally.
so that wasn't part of the grant, and a lot of money was equipment cost to do that, and that wasn't kind of one of that the budget line items were gate building. And so, basically all we need at this point in time, everything else is a known. All we need is what the city is going to get reimburse the Public Works Department. That's the only unknown at this point. And it seems like such a simple question. And I had even asked Brian Baker if he could, and he said, I went to Janet and tried to help, and she said she was going to take care of it. So it's frustrating for us not being able to get, I was like, how much money do we have left? And that's kind of the underneath this Ursa Grant subcommittee update is like, what do we want to be doing with the extra money? And if it's going to be trail work, getting somebody to do trail work, you should have been asking in several months ago, because these people are booking up.
So I'm going to stop you right there, Chris, for a second, because I want to summarize for Amanda, because we've been sort of going around a little bit, tossing all things at you. Amanda, so the dollar figure that Chris is asking for is just so that we know how much we have left to spend. So that's that.
Yeah.
The other thing we need to know is whether Janet has submitted our request for extension.
Yep.
Which we filled in all the whys and the changes. And then we also had a change request to the grant that was part of that extension document. So that is the other big thing that we are waiting for. So, and I think the question of what do we want to do with the rest of the money really requires an answer to do we have an extension and how much is the money. Is that right, Jim and Chris? Did I summarize that correctly?
Very well,
Correct.
yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
I think I've captured that in an email. I am hitting send shortly, and I've just texted Nicholas, and I'm going to call him in the next day or two about, and just follow up verbally as well.
Thank you. Yeah, and we understand the challenges that they're facing between, you know, the floods and everything else in the city right now.
It still should, we should still, we'll get it wrapped. I will keep on top of it on a day-to-day basis. And if any of you who are working directly on this get what you need, just loop me in on it so that I know what to stop chasing.
Thank you. Will do. That's
Thank
really
you.
good to know. So do we want to discuss now what we want to do with the rest of the money, or do we want to wait for answers and discuss next time? Because it, you know, it could be 3,500, it could be,
I think we should wait probably
Mhm.
till we know how much money there is and we know if we actually are getting the extension or not. And then it might even make sense for just the subcommittee to maybe discuss that and then bring it to the full committee instead of
Yeah.
spending time brainstorming it now, if that's okay with people.
Yeah, that sounds good. And I just want to remind folks that we do have a plan. And so it isn't like, oh, what do we want to do? We want
No,
to
no, totally.
put a Tory gate in or something. But we do, I think what the subcommittee can map out is just say, okay, here are the things that we want to do by the plan, and here are the things that the rest of the money can fit. We can fit into that plan. So it's more like us kind of narrowing it down and then bringing it to the committee to say, this is how much money, this is what this money can buy in the plan.
Yep.
So would somebody like to make a motion to reflect that? I think, Jim, you had half a motion there.
Did I?
Yeah. Do it.
I've been at a conference all day, so my brain is kind of mushy. I make a motion to table any discussion about what we're going to do with the money until we have a clear answer on the status of the grant extension and the remaining funds. And once we have an idea of that, we will bring some ideas to the committee for approval and figure out how to move forward.
Any seconds?
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, unanimous. Okay, thank you. We have advisory group updates. Emily gave us an update that we have a press release that's still on the radar. She has been doing amazing stuff on Facebook and getting the word out there, starting to kind of gear up a little bit on Facebook. So if you all have things that you see or photos or cool stuff, take a picture. She is always looking for photos and send them to her. You have her email. Winter's coming, so if they're cool wintry things, then send those to her as well. So it's a beast that needs feeding, and I think the more we can do that as a group effort, the more she can do stuff on socials. So anything else about social and communications? Okay, so Susan, do you want to talk to us about invasive plant control?
There's not a lot going on. Emily and I have a plan to make a little like handout kind of thing about what you can do about some of the peskier and more pervasive invasives. And I don't remember exactly what it is, but I think I'm supposed to be checking back with about some signs for the kiosk or something. Chris, does that sound familiar? There was somebody offered us signs, and I think maybe like a boot brush for, let's see, does that sound familiar?
Gosh, no.
look back.
Huh. No, maybe, and it could be.
I'll dig that out before next time.
Okay, that's helpful. And somebody was doing work in there because I saw some winged unanimous hanging upside down around.
I've been doing that. It's been my
Chris.
yeah. I've got my little corner up by the parent thing, and yeah. So I was amazed once I got in there, and the winged euonymus lit up with the fall color. How much was in that
Yeah.
strip by the stone wall?
Yes, that's where I'd seen it. So thank you. And thank you, Jim, to the people cutting down the trees that have fallen on the trails. We've had a few trees come down across trails. And I think they might have done a little extra because up on the Stonewall Trail section, there was sort of a kind of a half down. It was kind of not totally in the way, but it could have been. And that one is gone too.
Yeah, I think this is on the agenda for at some point, but Chris had flagged a bunch of trees
Oh.
up there, some of them that were fallen, and then there was also some that were non-natives, the Norway maple, that were kind of trying to take over in that area. And
Mhm.
Joe Carter, chainsaw expert, took care of those for us.
Great. Yeah, and I did see that I just jumped the gun on the brush hogging and tree removal. So, Susan, anything else on invasives that you want to bring? Okay. Any updates on conservation and access, except that we're crying over losing Mark in that area?
Yeah.
Is it proper to ask what happened? I missed the last meeting. I was away on my anniversary trip.
Oh, nice. Mark resigned. He was feeling similar frustrations, which he shared with Nicholas, and he just felt like he wasn't getting anywhere with his work. So he stepped down and is pursuing other volunteer things where he can get a little bit more traction, I think. Does that sum it up in a fair way, Chris and Jim?
I think so, yeah, without going into too much detail. But I
Yeah.
think it's just similar frustrations that people have had with the grant administration. He was finding himself to not be that effective in his role, so
Mhm.
he did move on to other things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do want to send out a thank you to him and Stacy and also Mike for doing some incredible work with the access piece. And I think we're in such a better place with access than we were a year ago. So
Yes.
I think he may have thought he was not effective, but I think he was incredibly effective. So so thank you, Mark, again in his absence. Anything else about the conservation access, Chris?
No, we're done. I did have a conversation with Nicholas when I was asking for the post to be put up, and let him clearly know that on off Johnson Street, the paper street, that, that there's somebody parking right in front of where the posts are. And I'm not sure if they're going to be knocked down or just if they're going to be visible, and that, there might need to be a conversation with the landowner of the apartment building. And they, so he's aware of the fact that there's a car that's really blocking the trail, the Crow Trail. And
Yeah.
and it's clearly that their whole parking lot for that building is on the city right away, on the city paper street. So he's aware of that, and he was going to walk up. He was going to drive by and look and assess that with Brian. As the last time that I spoke with him a couple of weeks ago, and I don't know what the status is. The posts aren't there. I know that much, and I know the city is extremely busy all over, still digging up roads. So I get it. But
Is Brian's the public works director?
yeah.
Okay, just for clarity here. Okay. Yeah, I think because folks have been parked there for decades, it might take a minute for them to realize that maybe they need to make a little space for people walking through there. So I think these things don't happen overnight. So hopefully the tenants at some point will be aware.
And Mark has had good conversations with the landowner. You know, he
Yeah.
navigated that very well. And I think we came to a compromise in that the posts were going to be set back and not by the
Mhm.
road, which we initially wanted, like a clear walkway at the curbside. So we have compromised and said, well, you know, with the snow plow, maybe they're plowing, you know, maybe we could set them back. So there has, thanks to Mark, you know, there's some good conversation with the landlord.
Great. And I think the more folks use that access, the more probably the tenants will also become aware that it's a trail. So I think yeah, that'll probably happen. Okay, can we move on to the brush hogging tree removal update? Since
Is
we've
that me?
already moved on to it.
Okay, I guess that's me. So first of all, I got to get a hold of Nicholas to verify that he got the vast landowner permission form signed and returned. That includes the property in the vast. It's Vermont statute 3206 or 8 protection. It has to do with not being able to be sued if there's an accident.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'll follow up with Nick on that, make sure we have proper permission there. We did do brush hogging. Paul Sisto was the guy that eventually showed up with his own piece of equipment. I hope everything went well. I wasn't able to be there. Okay. Tree removal, we are going to have to do some brushing for our machine to get down through there. It's mostly at the top of, well, the hill right by the kiosk. That apple tree might need to be trimmed back a little bit at some point. Paul mentioned that he had met with Chris. Everything went well there, sounded like.
Yeah. He, you know, basically I just pointed him in the directions and discussed our needs and then left and came back and yeah,
Okay.
I think it went well. Susan, do you feel like that area where the stumps were pretty well rotten, don't you think, where he brush hogged on the buckthorn triangle?
Just a second. Okay. Actually, I think it turned out pretty well. Yeah. And a lot of that was rotten. And yeah. Yes,
Um,
the buckthorn has been banished.
but
Yay.
I did talk to Nicholas, and he was going to put the cow pasture on the city annual brush hogging contract. Chris, you're aware of that?
I have been trying to get him to do that. And actually, the city had reached out to me the year before last, and we said we're not quite ready for it because the road bed hadn't been cleared out yet. So we were waiting so that they could access it from Route 14. And I said, we'll be ready this coming year. And I reached out several times and didn't get a response, but that's good news.
Great.
That's excellent news.
Typically, with the landowner permission form, the vast landowner permission form, they lose it. He never gets it. Somehow it just never makes it to his desk, and I got to go down. When I do go down with the permission form, I'll mention that to him again to remind him to put that on the city's annual contract. But I can say that it's probably never going to be accessible from Route 14. They're going to have to come in another way. There's just no way to get a tractor up that bank.
Oh, so Greg, maybe I'm misunderstanding. You're saying he's gonna put it on the contract, meaning that you're like Paul will be doing it, or that because I think they subcontract out.
Yeah.
You
Yes.
subcontract out someone else.
Yes, he wants to put it on the city subcontractor bid, if I'm
Mhm.
wording it right, so that it's included every year. So every year this committee can point them to where you want brush hog, which you should do it every year to stay up with it. Keep all
Yeah.
that invasive stuff down.
And actually, what we're going to, what an ask we're going to have is the mowing of the path, but the management plan does call for wildlife habitat to brush hog every 2 to 3 years. What's the recommendation of the professional who created the management plan? So it's a 2 to 3 year brush hogging schedule that is most beneficial to wildlife, and that's what we would ask for. However, we have lost the person who mows the path. Kenneth Lunn has been keeping the weeds back just because it ticks through the meadow, and he would do the loop, and he's no longer able to do that. So that is, I don't know if that's considered brush hogging or not. He used to ride up there with his rider mower and do that. So that's a discussion that we could have with Nicholas to make sure our needs are met.
Well, I would advise you stay on the annual, even if you pass a year. At least you
Yeah.
stay on the contract, because those
Yes.
contracts are annual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then even if it isn't what we consider brush hogging per the management plan, there's always gonna be something that needs to be cut.
Mhm.
And then we can just kind of say, well, this year we're not gonna do the official planned brush hogging, but maybe this trail needs to be maintained or something. I agree with you, Greg, and I think it's great to have that commitment from Nicholas, so thank you for that. It takes a village, I think, to get stuff done, and if we come at these things from all angles, it's important. So is that something you're gonna stay on and just to kind of keep nudging a little bit to get on the
Me-
annual
Me?
bid? Mm-hmm.
Yes. When they never return their landowner permission form, so I know I'm gonna have to go up to the clubhouse and get another one and bring it down to him. And when I meet with him, I will discuss that and say, please put
Right.
us on the annual. And if for some reason we want to skip a year, I mean, it's
Yeah,
easier than trying to get on every 3.
Agree.
and I'm sure the city can find another place for the contractor to go if we aren't using them. There's plenty of stuff. So I think that's great. Is everybody in agreement with that? Okay.
So Paul will get a hold of Chris when it comes time to do the brushing, because our machine is having trouble with those apple trees at that. Where you poke into the last field there, what's her name?
The Perrin property,
Aaron Field, yes.
Peggy
Mhm.
Hood. That's
Peggy's.
cow pasture property. I was going to ask you I know where you're talking about the apple tree, and it was pruned last year. That's like as you pass through the stone wall, there's a lot of brush hogging. There's a lot of invasive buckthorn along there and Amur maple. Um, but that as soon as you get through that stone wall, that's all private property. So that's
Right,
okay. So
right.
yeah,
But we gotta do some brushing down through. It's just some limbs and stuff that are problematic. When I say brushing, I mean cutting limbs.
Yeah. So it sounds like, okay, it sounds like maybe what you're talking about, Gary, is Greg. I don't know why I call you Gary all the time. I'm so
It's
sorry.
okay.
Oh,
No worries.
it sounds like that is on the parent land and you probably need to talk to them, which you probably already are anyway, right?
Yes, I'll go talk to them, but I'm talking about in the cow pasture too. There's
Oh,
a
in
few
the cow
problematic
pasture.
limbs that need to come down.
Okay. So Paul will meet with Chris to just kind of review everything. Is that okay, Chris?
Yeah, it
okay,
was over 2 inches you required, right? Was it 2 inches? Anything under 2 inches is okay?
I'm not remembering that specific. I think I had a conversation with Paul when he was up there, and we walked through the one narrow corridor that goes from the buckthorn triangle where, we did the buckthorn work, and then down onto the wolf tree trail. And it's limbed in there, and a lot of it is Norway maple and buckthorn. And we talked about properly getting it back to the stem, and there are a couple of limbs, spruce tree limbs, but we also noted that there were some oak trees in there that were starting to come up, and he was kind of, and we certainly wouldn't want those touched. So we did have a conversation, and I felt like he had a really good understanding of what should and should not be cleared in that pathway and trimmed back. We were pretty much in agreement on that. I don't know how Susan feels in that some of the buckthorn, we haven't moved our way down onto that trail, and there is buckthorn in there, and it would end up being, cut rather than pulled out, and or whatever, treated how we did the other buckthorn. So so that is something that I want to throw by Susan, in that, some of those, there is honeysuckle in there, and buckthorn and Amur maple, which are all considered invasives. And other than that, the oak trees, I think, were big enough and were, farther back into the woods that I don't think he would touch those.
It's just the problematic limbs that mess with the lights and the mirrors.
Mhm.
For the most
I
part.
do. I
He'll
think
get a hold of you,
I'll
Chris.
trim
He's
them.
he's
Yeah.
responsible.
Okay, so Susan, no concerns there? Okay,
No.
so it seems like Paul and Chris have a good working connection, so maybe you can stick your heads together, and then are you comfortable with that, Chris?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that he hadn't walked the whole trail, and he was trying to remember, but I think pretty much that was the narrow slot. There is a tree, unfortunately, that came down by the stream bed, and it's kind of hung up, but I don't know if that's going to be problematic to them or not. But I'd rather, yeah, I think he would notice that, but it's leaning toward the main trail that is hung up.
Okay. Good. So, okay. Anything else about tree removal? We talked about Jim's friends there, Jim. Yeah, go ahead.
I can just add that that was not easy work. Joe, there was one big Norway maple at the top of the hill there that Joe cut, and it was just trapped up in the canopy. And he eventually got it down. I was pretty much just I forget what you call the person, but the person was just like moving the wood around after it was on the ground. But that one big Norway maple came down. I put all the flagging back on to the trees that we had cut. I haven't been up there in a while. I'm hoping that the flagging's still there, because I have some glyphosate or Roundup that I was going to dab onto the stumps of them so that they would not come back.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Joe did really good work. It's good volunteer work. He beat up some of his equipment and stuff doing it, and I don't think he cared. So
It's wonderful to have them at our disposal currently, and that they're excited about cutting down trees.
yes,
It's helpful.
yeah,
Because we don't honestly have a really good way when we, I get text messages at 6 a.m. from Tess Taylor saying there's another tree down on this and this trail, and it's like, oh, now what? So it's good that we have a few people on call that are willing to do that. But it sounds like we might need a better plan in place just to deal with it.
yeah. I think that Joe is just the fact that he's volunteering to do it, I think that cutting down like fallen trees that are blocking the trail or snags or something like that is one thing. I think that removing full grown like 60, 70 foot tall maples is another level of volunteerism. He seems to like it, but I would, if we were going to ask him to do it again, I'd be like, are you really sure you want to do that?
Well, and maybe this is where a potential ask comes in, right? Is a request from the city to have a budget line for
Yeah,
a small amount, under 10 grand, just so that if we do have a need to take down a big tree, I mean, that's at least $1,000 a pop, often three, depending on where the tree is and how much equipment you need. So, even so we don't have to rely so much on unpaid work to do the really like professional level stuff. I think all of us can make do with smaller cutting, but if there's a big tree down, and again, they're using their equipment and
yeah.
all of that. So that might be something we should consider is making an ask for a small line item on the budget.
It's a good idea.
And I do have something to add because we had Nicholas had given us a permission form for liability reasons, and I think it was like for a specific date. And and this is something Mark was going to do, or maybe he suggested it, and I was going to follow up on it. But the recommendation is that if just for liability reasons, because we're asking them to people to come in and use it, that we could ask. And I'll put this on a to-do list for me to ask Nicholas to give us an annual permission form because we never know when a tree is going to
Yeah.
come down.
Yeah.
And I also wanted to say, Jim, I did take the flag off the big stump
Okay,
and left the other flags there.
that's
And
fine.
so did you leave those stumps that high because that's where it's best to do that with the glyphosate?
That's
or-
what Joe said. Yeah, he said if you're going to treat it, just you can leave it at that size, and then you have somewhere to put that on there.
Hmm.
It's my understanding that you have to have like a fresh cut so it soaks down into it,
Oh,
into
interesting.
the tree. So I don't know
Okay.
if the fresh cut, if it's too late and it's when it's translocating into the tree in the fall of the year, it's usually really good time of year to do that.
Good to
I
know.
think-
I don't know anything about that stuff, so
Yeah, I think there's also a method of drilling holes and then really applying it into the holes, so that it doesn't spread as much, and it might freshen up the soaking up powers as well. So that might be something to research. But
okay.
thank you
I'll look
for
into that.
being willing to work with that stuff. It's nasty. So
Yeah, I know.
And I do have a question. Does the committee feel one way or the another? Because there's quite a bit of brush now left on the entrance at the entrance of the cow pasture, as far as dragging it into the woods or somehow making an effort to kind of clean up that, or just leave it as it is. How do you feel about that, Jim?
I don't have an opinion. I don't feel like I didn't do a whole lot to like organize all the wood that came down. It was raining and there was a lot of trees that got cut. I think we had a discussion before about the wood there, like piling it as like a wildlife rodent pile is a good thing to do. I don't know the best time to do that now or in the spring. I'm not entirely sure.
I haven't even noticed it. So clearly,
Really? Huh.
clearly it isn't bothering me. I don't know. Other thoughts on that? Want to be mindful of the time too.
I don't think it's a bad thing to just leave it.
Yeah,
Maybe aesthetically it's not pleasing, but it's just going to break down and replenish the soil. So
yeah. Okay. Any other tree removal brush hogging updates? Okay, we have 5 minutes, no, 9 minutes left and one more item, gift certificate. Chris, did you put that on there? Oh,
I did, and I did
Yeah.
give permission to go to Lenny's with the nice gift certificate that was given to the city by the Snow Bees. And I purchased this pair of gloves for $24 and only left $1 behind with the $25 gift certificate. And although I can't make a motion, maybe somebody else could make a motion to I think Jim, being the person that works in the cow pasture, should have ownership of this pair of gloves, or, return and get the best size or something that would fit him, because he's the one that has been out doing the trail work.
I'll make a motion that we gift those gloves to Jim.
second. And I know where to borrow them if I need them, Jim.
Yeah, I guess it depends on what size.
Well,
What
the
can I
receipt
do?
is in here, so you can, I think it's one size fits all, but
Ah, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, we know how that goes.
use the receipt to get whatever you
Okay.
can, if you need something that you could better use, that's a little more than $24, you could use that credit.
Okay.
We did have one more thing added, sorry, city annual report. Chris, can you give it to us in
There
a
was a
nutshell?
there was a motion for the
Oh,
glove
oh.
donating. I don't
All in favor?
want to make sure it's official.
All in favor?
All right,
Aye. Any opposed? I think it was unanimous. Okay. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Okay, city annual report. Chris.
Typically I've used this annual report to kind of it's probably 2 or 3 pages long, and this time they said just just 1 page is fine. With that said, I think that what we have not done on the committee, and what I can do the annual report, but I would like some eyes on it and some recommendations. I think, Emily, you might have, is Emily still with us?
No.
Oh,
He
oh,
left
okay.
at 6.
Oh, okay. Oh, I didn't note that. At 6. But I think what we haven't done a very good job with is documenting the amount of time that the committee has puts in. So I'm going to ask, reach out to people and ask them for, and I could do, simply the meetings, 2 hours times however many people, but and list the I think I'm going to send out a template, and then, like Susan, for you, for example, I'll list that, like, well, you didn't, yeah, it was, yeah, your efforts with the buckthorn or something, and then how many volunteers we brought in. And this year it's probably, we weren't as active. We didn't do a green up day, but we certainly did a whole lot with the tree work and everything. But I think
The
it's
high
like,
school kids.
Yeah.
oh, yes, yes. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to suggest that I send out, try to keep it like a 1-page report, and just highlight the man hours, and, and I think, even though the URSA grant was over a 2-year period, maybe just use this as an exception and summarize, how much time went into the URSA grant.
Yeah, because it was a lot more than the usual time. So I'd like to make a motion that we let Chris draft the annual report and get input from everybody. Remember, don't reply all, just give Chris input. And that, Chris, did you want to submit it to the city on your own, or do you want to bring it back to the committee in January?
I think I was asked to have it in by the beginning. I'll have to go back and reread that, but I think it's due at the beginning of, January. So
Okay.
we don't, and I'm sorry, but I always thought these were due in March. It was more fiscal year in the past, and they must have changed that up. But I
Okay.
just got notification. So we're going to have to, just work without replying to all. And
So let me restate the motion. So I would like to propose a motion to have Chris submit the annual report with some input from whatever committee members she needs input from.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I,
Yeah. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate your efforts again. Okay, I think we are ready to adjourn. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
No, you need to make a motion.
Oh, oh, that's right. Make a motion to adjourn.
Second that.
Okay, we don't have to vote, so we are adjourned at 6:57. Thank you all.
I forgot to mention to Greg that to please be sure to include, there was an attachment to the snow bee agreement that has, the conditions that the committee came up with several years ago. And if you don't mind, please including that attachment with it so that it doesn't get lost in the shuffle.
So you two should
Oh.
connect. If
Well, let me see if I have that.
Okay, I think because we are officially adjourned, the rest of you can leave. Goodbye. And Chris and Greg, you can figure this out.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
And thanks.
Good
Happy
night.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
Same
thank
to
you.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks, everyone.
All right. So I just haven't had time really to look thoroughly. I don't know if I still have.
Do you
have a
guys want
copy
to
of that?
connect offline?
Sure.
Okay. That way we can have the latest version of the agreement for the cow pasture. And then we're good. So
And
Okay.
Greg, are you
What was
gonna?
it? What was it called again? It was the
It's an attachment which had, there's a place in the application form. Are there any special conditions or something for the landowner? And we've always put in there, see attachment. And
Yep.
it was, just the rules like, the main vast trail, no off trail. And I, yeah, I can't remember what else was in there.
I'll look through my files. If I can't find it, I'll get a hold of you.
Yeah, and I'll also try to look, and I don't know if I'll be able to find an electronic copy or not, hopefully.
Well, if you'd happen to run across it, just email it to me. It'd be
I
fine.
will. And
Okay.
yeah, thank you so much for organizing the brush hogging this year. Did you say that you don't think that the city brush hog equipment could get up through the trail from Route 14? It's a roadbed.
No, because I don't think they can get off the road. It's a steep bank there. They'd probably have to come in another way.
Oh no, because that was like the whole idea behind opening up that gate. That was going to be the equipment access, like ATVs.
Well, I'll
Huh.
take a second look at it and we'll figure that out, by next year or whatever. But I don't think that's accessible from there with a brush hog.
Oh no, huh? Because the problem is that we had put those big stones on the
Yeah.
Maplewood Avenue entrance to prevent ATVs going in, and which they had in the past in
All
vehicles.
right.
And
Well, we got some time to figure that out for next summer, but I would recommend you have them go up there every year and do something. Just to keep them on the contract, and
I
keep
agree.
it open.
I agree. Guys, I gotta go. I have not had a break since this morning, so and I have to be on the meeting to make sure it stays on. So I'm gonna go and end the meeting. I'm sorry.
oh no,
No
no,
problem.
that's
We'll
fine.
connect. We'll get
Thank
it
you so
figured out.
much.
I'm
Thank
fried.
you.
Bye.
Have a good night.
Bye.